it is loading up now. Okay, and let me pass the baton back to April. All right, you're all set.
Okay. So anybody that's not actually speaking should probably put themselves on mute so we don't get any background noise during this. Let's go back up here. All right. So welcome to the Rockland County Guideline Hearing and Meeting. In response to the governor's directive to take every effort to keep New Yorkers safe and mitigate the spread of COVID-19, and pursuant to Executive Order 202-1, which allows for the suspension of the Public Officers Law, the Rockland County Rent Guidelines Board will be conducting public hearings to set guideline rates of rent adjustments for housing accommodations within its jurisdiction, subject to the Emergency Tenant Protection Act of 1974 for leases commencing between October 1, 2020 and September 30th, 2021 via teleconference. Instructions for members of the public to simultaneously view or listen to the meetings will be posted to HCR's website for the Office of Rent Administration under the Public Hearings section. Prior to the meetings, the hearings will also be later transcribed, and the public will have the ability to view the transcripts. Tonight's meeting is both a meeting and a hearing. Initially, we will take public comments for today's meeting, Thursday, June 25th. After we close the commentary period, the board will vote on a guideline. Pat, it's on to you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rockland County's Rent Guideline Board meeting. As you know, tonight we made an exception and we are going to be able to allow several people. I know initially we had 2, then we got up to, I think, 4 now.
At least 3.
At least 3 speakers. You are allowed to speak, but you're only allowed 3 minutes per person. So April, if you would call the first speakers so we can get this started, it'll be fine.
All right, let's see. So. Alex, we're promoting. You should be able to speak at this point.
Okay, I can hear you. Thank you very much for letting me speak. 3 minutes. My name is Alex Borstein. I'm the Executive Director of the Legal Aid Society of Rockland County. I've been doing this since 1985. I've represented tenants in Rockland County since 1985. And I think most of you, if not all of you, will agree that this is a period like no other. Truly. I've never seen anything like it. The unemployment, I'm not going to bore you with statistics, is at 11% in Rockland County. 11%. At the height of 2008-9 economic crisis, it was between 7 and 8%. The question then becomes, whom is this going to affect most severely? And I would submit to you that it will affect most severely the working poor. They are the people who are losing their jobs. They are the people who can't afford the rent. They are the people who benefit from the ETPA and benefit for the protections it affords. So if you look at that situation, now is not the time to either increase or even keep the rents where they are. And I'll get to that point at my conclusion. The working poor are the ones who are at this point. People who have minimum wage jobs, people who have day-to-day jobs, they are the most severely affected. I have my job, I'm getting paid. They are not, they're losing their jobs. That's where the 11% comes from. Now, there is a moratorium on evictions. That is indeed true. That moratorium is for non-payment evictions caused by COVID-19 until August. But landlords can start evictions right now if they so wish, but they can't have them heard in court. And I will tell you this from representing literally hundreds of tenants. If you would like to stay in your apartment, you're going to have to pay every penny that you owe. Every penny. You're not going to be able to say, well, there was COVID and I can't pay the rent. That's not going to work, because the judge is going to say the legislature had a chance to say there's a moratorium on rents. There is no moratorium on rents. Rents will have to be paid in full sooner or later, and probably sooner rather than later. So when you look at that situation, you realize that when the eviction proceedings brought, be they in July or in August, I see you, Ms. Silva. Are you speaking? Am I missing something? Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello? Okay,
Hello?
I see Ms. Silva speaking, and I don't know if she's saying something. Anyway, so if the new eviction proceedings brought, the rent will have to be paid in full. And that means that whatever relief we can afford people who can least afford to pay it, whatever relief you can afford, you should do that now, and you should do it as soon as possible. When there comes times for evictions, they will have to pay the rent in full. If there is a reduction in the rent, that's going to benefit people greatly, really and truly. Number three, who is affected the most among the working poor is the undocumented people, for two reasons. Number one, they're not eligible to receive unemployment. If you're undocumented, you cannot get unemployment. There's no income coming in at all for you, because under the unemployment law, you have to be eligible for work. And as a matter of law, as a matter of principle, if you're an undocumented person, you're not eligible to work, period. So not only are those people scared because they're being threatened with being sent to ICE immediately if they complain about anything, but they cannot even get the benefits they're entitled to if they have worked full-time for a period of time. So I would just ask you to keep people who can least afford the rents, who live in ETPA housing, please lower the rent. Not drastically. 5% strikes me as a reasonable number at this point, because it's not going to be a huge decrease for the landlords, and it's going to make a huge, huge difference for the clients whom legal aid represents and for the clients who can least afford to pay the rent. I hope I was within 3 minutes. I'm done. Thank you.
But go ahead. April.
All right, let's promote our next person. The person that signed in as Fern has now been disconnected. They can speak. Marie?
Let's go to the third person. That one.
There's only 2 people that have called in at this point.
Okay. You have someone else holding now?
The person that signed in is Fern, that I just asked them to unmute themselves.
Okay, the one who had the young man was setting her up.
Yep.
Let's give her another minute. Maybe she's calling him back to do it again.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hi.
You're in for Fern?
Yeah, this is Fern. Yeah, my mother is on her own Zoom. I think her name is Maria.
She's been unable to get in.
Oh. All right. So I guess I'll speak on her behalf. She wanted to say something along the lines of, raising rent is a bit unfair during this time period.
We don't have your picture, so would you please
You have
introduce
to say your name.
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Fern Durand.
Can you spell your last name, Fern?
My last name is Durand, Durand.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm speaking on behalf of my mother, Marie Florence Apont, and I believe she wanted to say something along the lines of raising rent during this time period is unfair. And yeah, I believe that's it.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
thank
Thank-
you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, those are the only two speakers we have.
Yep, whoever the other person was that called in yesterday that wanted to call in has not called back in.
Okay,
So at this point, you can close the public hearing and open for a public meeting.
okay. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Okay, and I'll move it. I'll move to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
I'd say that was Kim.
Okay, all in favor? I'm gonna assume that's unanimous. Now, the public meeting is officially closed. Okay, now you can give us what did he call us?
Board members?
Yes. Oh, no, not board members. What did he call us? He said you could put us in so we could all see at the same time. The Brady Bunch. Could you go to the Brady Bunch so we can all see?
Let's see if I can get the Brady Bunch back.
Okay.
How's it working for you?
I'm just,
Do you feel more like the Brady Bunch now?
I'm just seeing you, darling.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, but YouTube's seeing all of you, so.
Yeah, I don't think April's able to do that for you. I think that's something you'd have to figure out how to do on your own device.
Okay. I have an iPhone. Up at the corner, the right-hand corner in red, it says record and live. And then in white loud, it says on your YouTube, on your tube.
Try swiping to the right or to the left to see if it'll bring up the gallery view.
Okay, over that.
Well, you just went dark. Kim, you're on mute. You good? All right, Millie, you're on mute, and Jane, you're on mute. I don't know if you mean to be.
Or am I? I don't even know if I'm on.
No, Martha, you're fine. Don't touch a thing.
Okay, it keeps blacking out, but I'll leave it alone. I'm trying not to even move.
Millie's still on mute.
All right.
Okay, I have April, Peter, Kim. So where's everyone else?
If it's going down the side of the page, just scroll and they'll come up. All right.
Okay. All right.
Before we go any further, I need to back up because I realize I didn't have asked Karen to call the roll.
Yes.
So for this public hearing or for the public meeting, Karen, can you call the roll or do you need me to do that?
I will call the roll.
Okay.
All right. Yes, Martha Robles.
I'm here.
Okay. Jared Oates,
Not here.
Milagros Guzman.
She's not here.
Yeah, she's here.
She
Millie,
has
you're
to
on,
unmute.
you're on
She's here.
silent.
Okay. Jane Jacob.
I'm here.
Okay. Alejandra Silva Exias.
Present.
Rabbi Hirsch Horowitz.
Not here.
Kim Boscu. Kim.
Kim's
Boscu?
here. Not on mute. All right.
Kim
All right, and Patricia Caldwell.
here. Kim is here.
Okay,
Yep.
you got it.
Hello.
We're all here.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, then.
Well, we know what we're here to do tonight is to make a decision as to whether or not, how we're going to handle the rents. And right, I'll from any
Oh,
first
she's
Hey,
cutting
your
off.
voice is coming and going.
is going. You can't hear me.
Yeah, you have to speak into the phone better, that's all.
Oh, okay. All right. At this time, I'll entertain anyone who wishes to speak on the issue of the rent control, rent increase, rent decrease, or maintaining the constant. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
April, maybe you should do this again because they're having problems hearing me, so they'll hear you better.
At this point, Pat suggested that somebody make a motion as to the guideline for the 2020 to 21 period for both renewal and vacancy leases.
Well, Alejandra. All right, go ahead, speak.
I wanted to ask because it doesn't make sense to make a motion if people aren't going to agree on like whether or not increase, a freeze, or a reduction. So I just wanted to hear generally if people are in agreement for a reduction, and then we can start from there.
Right. Yeah,
Martha.
Alex's was so compelling. I think I would prefer a rent reduction that will help people with money in their pockets right away.
I agree.
Kim, Kim, nobody can hear you.
No, she's.
Kim?
Maybe she could shake her head yes or no. Yes or no, yes.
Millie is saying that she can't hear anyone or see anyone.
I can't hear either.
And we can't hear her either.
Start my the calls. I actually should start your video. Start my video.
Millie, was that you?
Millie?
We're better off having distant meetings, sitting somewhere 12 feet apart. Terrible. It's hard to manipulate this.
Wow.
Oh, I don't have any picture of her.
No.
Okay, how about Jan? You have something you'd like to say, Mr. Jacobs?
Yes, I believe a reduction probably is the one going to pass, but I think I am for keeping it the same because otherwise it's going to hurt the landlord. So,
Are you for a reduction or not for a reduction?
not for a reduction.
It's not for a reduction.
Kim, hear us?
Oh.
Kim, you have a thumbs up for what?
Rent reduction?
A rent reduction.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Millie, you may have to call back in.
Yeah, I just told her to leave and then sign in again.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave and then sign in again. Okay.
But now I just heard her.
Yeah, I just heard you.
We can hear her, but barely.
Christopher. I'm looking at a name here.
So both Kim.
What's that?
I'm not even
Can't
sure how that's
see
a
now.
possibility.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, you have all of us.
I have nobody. Okay, Kim's back.
Yeah.
Millie's trying to connect to audio.
Yes.
Okay. Is she back?
Yes.
Millie, Millie, if you unmute yourself.
Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay.
Okay, where are we now?
All
Okay,
right.
and everyone else, everyone else can hear.
Millie's back. One,
She's
two,
here.
three.
Okay, Millie, you can hear us?
Yes.
All right.
All right, we were discussing the reduction.
Well, you're discussing without a motion, so I'm not really sure
Okay.
what the discussion is. So at this point, you guys have to figure out how to move it along, but
I don't know how
if you're just discussing it, that's great. At some point, you need a motion to figure out what you guys are gonna do with this.
Right, but we need to hear from all the board members because we're not gonna make a motion to
Have it
fail.
it if no one's gonna vote for it. So it makes sense to get just a general idea of each person so that we know where to start.
we're doing. I don't know how you make a motion, then you do the second, and then you discuss, and that's when you decide. But you want to do it in the reverse, so we're trying that. I am not in favor.
Oh, okay.
In favor of, I missed the other part.
No, I'm not in favor of a rent reduction.
Not in favor of rent reduction. Okay.
Could I ask why?
You can ask why, because I don't believe that that's a fair thing to do, not only to the tenant, but to the landlord. And not all landlords are gougers. Not all landlords take advantage, and they shouldn't have to suffer in a reduction. I would gladly go along with the maintaining the constant, whatever's there now, and I can certainly agree with that. But I'm not going to reduce their income.
But the surveys that we've seen prove that they're not hurting.
What surveys
But
have you?
there's proof that the tenants are. And
What proof is it?
about that the landlords are making money or that the tenants aren't?
That I don't believe. Okay.
All right, let's then move this along, and I'm gonna make a motion for a reduction of 5% rent reduction for 1-year lease and a rent reduction for 2-year leases.
I'll second that.
What percentage are you talking for a 2-year?
5 for both years.
5% for both years?
Is there a second?
Second, I'll second it.
Okay. On a motion to have a rent reduction in the amount of 5% for 1 year and 5% for a 2-year. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Martha Robles? Martha Robles?
You have to turn your sound back on, Martha.
Martha Robles?
I'm for the reduction. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we heard you.
Agree with the reduction. I'm voting for a
Okay,
reduction.
Milagros Guzman?
I'm for the reduction.
Jane Jacob?
I'm against the reduction.
Alejandra Silva Exius?
I'm for the reduction.
Kim Foscu?
I'm for the reduction. Did you hear me?
Yes. And Patricia Caldwell?
I'm against the reduction.
The motion fails 4-2.
Okay. We need to discuss first alternative to the reduction. What would you propose?
Freeze.
So no one will, you and Jane will not vote for any reduction, even though 4 of us would agree that there needs to be a reduction.
That's what the vote just showed. Yes.
Would you agree to any reduction is my question. You won't
I
agree
don't.
to 5% reduction. Would you agree to any reduction?
I won't agree to any reduction. I will agree to a freeze.
I just think that in this year, we've done freezes for the past however many years. In this year of the pandemic, we have to do something different.
That you're assuming all the landlords are the rich people and all the tenants are
Right.
the ones suffering.
We have nothing,
We
have nothing else to show us different, Jane.
I know for a fact a lot of landlords are suffering too.
Yes, I agree. There are some landlords who are suffering, but not quite in the same way as tenants, especially in this county. Look, we have a roof over our heads. We don't have to worry about these things, but there are people in this county who are really, really struggling. And I wouldn't put landlords at the top of the list of those who are suffering. And I think that if you really look at it, you would agree.
But even the past, when things were good, the economy was good, everybody was against an increase. They were freezing. So and now the economy is in bad shape. You want to go rent reduction. So if the last few years we are agreeing to increase the rent, then I could understand it. But when things are good, there was other reasons not to increase because they are not behaving right, they are not doing right. So either way, the position is not to give any incentive to landlords to do this. So I personally think that is moving towards a socialistic society. That failed
I wouldn't go
everywhere
that
in the
far.
world.
I wouldn't go that far. I understand your point, but I also understand how much worse it is for the people in the community. And one of the things that Alex pointed out is the level of the undocumented people that are living in these horrible conditions, because these apartments are not in the greatest conditions. A lot of them will never speak up, as Alex told you, and they have absolutely no recourse. Where someone else may be able to go to Catholic Charities or they could go to DSS, these folks can go nowhere. No one's going to help them.
So you think reducing the rent will give that landlord incentives to take care of them? No, they will reduce their maintenance less. They will do less to keep these places, in a sanitary condition. So it's my personal, like I said, I've been in this board for a little while, and what I seen is when things are good, there will be other reasons not to increase. When things are bad, I agree. If we increase the rent in the last couple of times, then now you say reduce it.
All right.
That makes sense. But now,
all right.
The problem is, Jane, that we haven't heard from any landlords. We don't know what their position is because none of them had showed up. None of them had said that how
because
much
they lost their credibility in this board. That's what happens.
Please let me finish.
Yes.
And what we have heard, the testimony that we have heard, you weren't actually here yesterday, but we did hear from two people who were talking about how they were struggling. So you're asking us to freeze the rent.
So why not 25% rent reduction?
They have failed to show and advocate for why they should, at the minimum, why we should freeze the rent. In fact, we have heard from tenants who have said, one today and two yesterday, why we should take into consideration that we are in a pandemic right now. That has to count for something.
If we're not going to agree, then what would be the next alternative?
That was my earlier. We've definitely a rent reduction. So what do you propose in lieu of that?
To freeze the rents. Then I would freeze the rents. I wouldn't. I understand. You know what? I do understand what he's saying, and I do know that some landlords are better than others, and some of them are probably having hardships. So if we can't agree on that, I would definitely propose then a freeze. No increase.
Is that a
for
motion?
1 year and 2 years?
Okay.
No increase.
Are you
I
making that?
freeze, what, you mean 0%?
Yeah.
Yep. Jane, did you second that motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Been properly moved in second to have a 0% increase for a 1 year or a 2 year. Was the
For
clerk please
both.
call?
I'm proposing 1 year and 2 years.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, for 1 and 2 years,
Mhm.
0%.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Would you please call the roll, Karen?
Okay, yes. Martha Robles, please.
I'm for it, for a rent, 0 and freeze.
Okay, yes. Milagros Guzman,
I'm for a 0 increase for 1 and 2 years leases.
yes, okay. Jane Jacob,
I'm for it 0% and
What was that?
1 and 2 years. Yes.
1 and 2. Mhm. Alejandra Silva Exius,
I'm for a rent freeze for both 1 year and 2 year leases.
thank you. Kim Fosco,
Reluctantly, I will vote yes for the 1 and 2 year lease, but I challenge the landlords to start showing up next year and advocating for themselves, because next year we're going to try again for a reduction.
I know we're doing roll call, but April, is it true that the same landlords that fill out the forms are the same ones filling it out every year?
My understanding from when you asked that to research, yes, that's true.
Right. What is it that makes them fill it out and others not? Because it's not mandatory.
Excuse
You
me.
guys gotta
We're
get through the motion
middle-
first, and then we can go back to that.
we're in the middle of a vote. We need to take care of that first.
All right, sorry.
okay, sure. Okay, Patricia Caldwell, please.
Yes, I'm in favor of 0 for 1 year and 0 for a 2 year.
All right. The motion
Okay.
passed 6-0.
Okay, now Martha, you had a question you wanted to ask.
I'm curious to know what would make the 12 or 15 people fill it out every year and others not, when it's not mandatory? What,
Honestly, I can't answer for them. I mean, I can't say it's always the same people. If you remember the way research explained it.
but last year it was the same.
Right, but even if a new owner came in this year and wanted to do it, they need to have 3 years worth of data in order for that to work. So there may have been some people that weren't included.
I was just curious.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's in that same vein. What would a landlord or owner have to do to have themselves removed from ETPA's guideline? I mean,
The ETPA is applicable only in the towns or cities that have opted into ETPA. Landlords can't opt out of ETPA. It's solely done by the county. So Spring Valley itself would have to opt out.
The county, the village.
The village of Spring Valley would have to opt out. And I believe the second one is Haverstraw, they have to opt out.
Yes, the town of Haverstraw. Yeah.
Right.
okay. Well, that's frightening. Hoping they had to do it on an individual basis, because in Spring Valley, I would not be surprised if at some point that doesn't occur.
Well,
and I said that publicly.
So in order for, just be clear that in order for them to opt out, they have to go through a process also. So if they're willing to go through the process, I can tell you what the process has been to opt in, because we've had a couple of places in Westchester do it. And there's upstate county or upstate towns or villages that are looking to do it, cities that are doing it. It requires a vacancy study. It requires a lot of other information to be obtained before they can do it. Anything's possible. I'm never going to say no.
Okay.
I'm only going to be on this call another 10 minutes because I have to leave.
Okay.
Quite frankly, Millie, we have finished. We have concluded our meeting. We're just having discussions at this point. So anytime you wish to move.
Okay.
If you guys want to make a motion to end the meeting, someone can do that.
Absolutely.
realize that the next meeting will be in September. So Karen will send out something to everybody to try to coordinate a date.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Okay. We'll send an email out.
Okay.
I just lost her
Is-
again.
Adjourn.
Yep,
Adjourn.
vote to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Good evening, everyone.
Have a lovely
Good
summer.
night.
Yes.
Thank you.
Happy summer,